Joining me now to discuss, Dan Henninger, the Wall Street Journal editorial page deputy editor and Fox News contributor. Of course, Dan, that was on a show with George Stephanopoulos, who used to be one of the point men, the media point men for the Clinton administration. The Clinton machine is working against Donna Brazile now, full force, but it's sort of like, here's a Clinton machine, and here's truth.
Yeah.
We've seen this before, right?
Right. Well, I mean, this is one of the great, it's not non-reported, but underreported stories going on right now is the civil war inside the Democratic Party. I mean, everyone reads all the time about the Republicans, Trump, Bannon, and all that. What's going on in the Democrats is fascinating, and Donna Brazile is right at the center of it. The Clintons, of course, are trying to deny all these accusations she's making about how the Clintons captured the Democratic National Committee.
That's just to put it in a nutshell, what she says in her book is that before she was the nominee, Hillary Clinton was given, because she gave some money to the DNC, she was given authority over staffing, over the way money was spent, to the point where Donna Brazile, even though she was chairman, could not decide things that the Clinton campaign was deciding even before Clinton was the nominee.
Right, and disenfranchised and disadvantaged Bernie Sanders, which brings us up to the civil war right now between the progressives, the left, and what the Clintons represent, which is a more centrist wing of the party. It looks to me like the progressives are winning because they've got the kind of the troops behind them, and they've kind of gotten themselves involved in that Virginia campaign between Ralph Northam and Ed Gillespie. They're saying Northam, because he stood back on sanctuary cities, is now a racist, and they're pulling back their support for their own nominee.
So who wins in Virginia? Tomorrow's the election for governor in Virginia. Ed Gillespie is the Republican. Coming off of what Donna Brazile said, they had that horrible ad that showed a pickup truck with a Gillespie sticker on it trying to mow down all of these immigrants and minority kids, which was seen as a boost for Gillespie because it was so awful. Does this affect, all this, there's the ad.
I think Ed Gillespie is going to pull it off and win, because what Northam's campaign was doing now, and was happening to him, is the Democratic Party getting mired in identity politics. They accuse Ed Gillespie of being a racist. Now Northam is being accused of a racist by the progressives because he's stepped back on sanctuary cities. Ed Gillespie's been talking about the Virginia economy. That, again, is part of the debate inside the Democratic Party. Should they talk about the economy, or should they talk about racism?
Guess who just weighed in on the governor's race? President Trump. He just tweeted out, the state of Virginia economy under Democrat rule has been terrible. If you vote Ed Gillespie tomorrow, it will come roaring back. This is from Asia. He's tweeting from Asia on the Virginia.
Yeah, well, I think they see an opportunity now to win in Virginia. And I'll tell you, David, if the Democrats lose in Virginia, it's going to be an earthquake across that party. They really need that election.
Okay, let's get to the question of the Trump dossier, which, again, somebody at the DNC paid for. Hillary Clinton said, wasn't me. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, wasn't her. It was somebody. Investigators are trying to pry loose the bank records from Fusion GPS to figure out in there who actually paid for the Trump dossier, which they went out and got a lot of Russians to give information, a lot of which apparently was not true. How do you think they're going to get the records? Are they going to find out who at the DNC paid for this thing?
Well, the questions are so obvious that somebody has to get to the bottom of this. And one way of doing it is going after Fusion GPS's bank records. It's a serious thing. I mean, it's a private company, whatever you might think of them, for Congress to ask you for your bank records. But nonetheless, as you were just describing, the law firm in Washington that contracted with Fusion and with Steele, the spy, was Perkins Coie.
And by the way, here's what Tom Perez, the current head of the DNC, says about that. He said, we hire lawyers all the time who hire third-party vendors to do their work, and so we knew that we were paying for opposition research at the DNC, but we didn't ask questions about who they're hiring in the context of doing their research. You buy that?
I don't buy that at all. I've talked to Washington lawyers, and yes, Washington law firms who do political work contract with third parties all the time. They don't pay those third parties one penny until their employer, in this case either the DNC or Hillary's campaign, sign off on those invoices. There have to be emails between Perkins Coie and whoever they were dealing with in DNC or Hillary's campaign. So for John Podesta and Debbie Wasserman Schultz to say they have no idea what's going on here really strains credulity.
Now Tom Perez is saying the same thing.
Yeah, I don't believe him.
Dan Henninger, good to see you. Thank you very much. Melissa.